trying to think of the one that I want to go live with and what I want to see. What's up, everybody? It's the Don with TheDonTech. I moved my camera, and I don't know if I like it. So I'm going to move some of my windows over, and I think that's a little bit better because this is like the primary focus. But if I went over here, I saw the chat popping up. Ah ha ha ha. All right. Can I modify this a little bit more to make it what I want it to be? Excuse the messes, though. Excuse everything. I have not been in this room since last Monday. It's been about a week. So, excuse the mess over there. Don't worry about it. It doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother me. Unless it bothers you, then it bothers me. You know, actually, we want... Oh, wait, I need to see more chat. Okay, this is a chat test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's not showing up over there, though. Also, because I'm nervous, I need to do the audio test to make sure. All right, I do hear myself just fine. Perfect, perfect. Okay, there we go. Now it is showing up there. All right, so it moved them up pretty far. So I think it's a weird chat box. It's a weird chat box. Yo, what's up, Blair? Trying to fill the chat. Now I got to figure out why there's such a long delay from when you chat to why it shows up here. That just might be the way that that one is, but it's okay. That's YouTube chat. Is there something I can do to make it any faster? No, it just is what it is. I also don't know why I have my headphones on. I've got no music going. I need to also fix that. I need to update the Discord. I need to tweet it. I need to blue sky it. I need to find my windows. I need to find where absolutely everything is right now. You can see and hear me. That is great. That is great. Move that. Let's see. Can we... The way it scrolls is weird. I don't necessarily like that. Looks like the box is smaller than the frame. And I just dragged something completely unrelated. I don't even know what it was. I just see the red outline that I dragged something. Oh well. That's not bad. Oh, my water's right in front and center there. That's always nice. I am extremely far behind, but that's okay. The important part is that I'm live. You know, that's the important part. Nothing else really matters except the fact that I'm live, right? Content is content. What is that plus? Engage with your audience. What can I do? Oh, I can do a members only live stream. Yeah, that'd be fun. Hey, all three of you. There's no members, so it wouldn't even be anything. All right, so now I'm going to go to some windows, but then I move my water in front of my other window. Can I? No, it doesn't. Yeah, okay. Just for right now, it'll go. You know, I don't know. Nothing more fun than doing this stuff on the fly. And I don't know if I like the camera there. I kind of like it there if I'm focusing on this display. I need to kind of frame it up a little bit so I don't have the wires over there. I don't like the wires, which is why this whole thing is on the wall in the first place. But yeah, I missed y'all last Thursday. I had some things that prevented me from streaming, but I got some other stuff finished. And today's Monday, I suppose, so that's not too bad. Today I plan on a roughly 2-hour stream where I'm going to work on a laptop in question. to make it functional for my wife to do some video edits on. And I think that's all I really had. I don't think there was anything else. I think that was just kind of like, that was just kind of it. How's the fam? We're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. School time, you know, all that busyness and everything like that. Having to wake up early and do all those things is always a fun treat. But not all that bad. Not all that bad. How about you and yours, my friend? September is just absolutely blown by. Like it, I can't believe it's already the end of September. My next stream will be in October. It's just. It is absurd how fast this has gone by. You blink and it's been done. Yep, I guess I have to agree to the Discord's new terms of services. I don't really have a choice. I'm not going to read all that. Let's see. All right, miss me. I can't believe I have so many windows open, yet every window is not the window that I need. Every window is absolutely useless to me right now. Nope, that I almost linked the wrong stream. That would be pointless. All right, live, there we go. They don't make it easy. Twitch is definitely where it's at for live streaming. Don't tell YouTube I said that, but Twitch is definitely where it's at. Once we break partnership, though, and monetization, which is soon, I'll get to that in a moment, then we will be doing a dual stream, possibly a triple stream. And let's see. All right, where you at? So you sure do know about that. Both kids in elementary. Oh, yeah. Been an absolute whirlwind. Yeah, it seems, you know, ours is in 5th grade now. And so that's quite the leap, quite the jump. It's crazy to think that just a few years ago, we were starting this whole adventure and now we're nearing the adventure of elementary school. It's not bad. I miss elementary school. That's what I miss. People, you know, other people miss like high school, middle school. I miss elementary. That'd be more fun. All right, so let's see. We're at 3, 5 through 2. We got Discord down. Oh yeah, such a simpler time. That's kind of what I miss too. Just the simplicity of what was life at that point. You know, whenever my kid's like, I can't wait to be an adult. Like, no. It's like Adam Sandler, you know, in Billy Madison. He's just like, cheeks on the kid. Stay in school. You have your whole life to be an adult. You only have a few precious years to be a kid. I'm still barely an adult. I'm just an adult because of the fact that I have responsibilities, but otherwise, you can't take the kid out of me. All right, blue sky is then done. Youth is wasted on the young. Yes, it is. Though I do feel like I took pretty good advantage of it when I was young. Like, I did so many things that I retroactively know that I could not have done that now. And that's stuff that, like all the video game playing, right? Like doing nothing but playing video games for hours straight. At that point, it's like, oh, you can't do this when you're an adult, they used to tell me. It's like, yeah. I mean, I didn't know it then, but now I really know it now. Like, me and every now and again, me and Delete will play Hitman or something like that. But otherwise, we don't have any sort of, we don't play any games. She's into Silk Song. Yeah, you do your best not to act like an adult. Yeah, I don't want to be the adult in the room. I don't want to be the person that's responsible for anything in the room. I want to just be like the one that can just chill. All right, and then on Twitter, let's see. I'm going to do the same thing that I did on Blue Sky to Twitter because I feel like that's just it was a good enough. Good enough thing there. Well, don't trunicate my trunicate or truncate. I don't know. My link. That doesn't help me. I'll do something different on Twitter. So we are at a astounding 468 watch hours remaining. 468 hours, which is absolutely insane. Windows 10 content has supercharged my channel to the point where I'm getting more watch hours than I had envisioned. My goal, I need to open up a Word document here. My goal was to be monetized by the end of the year. But we're now looking at monetization in less than 10 days, which is huge. So, and gotta do that. There's so much stuff to just like, mentally you gotta be like, okay, I gotta do this. And I just moved something else. Okay, now that we have more chat, let me, okay, so it cuts off whatever that part was. Okay. Maybe it will stay smaller than that. I'm not sure. Okay, phew. I think now we're all good. 21 minutes of chaos. And then we got it. So, all right, now I can get rid of the windows that I don't need. We are also at 2,354 subscribers, which is also huge. The Windows 10 stuff has been absolutely, like I said, wonderful to the channel. The fear-mongering that's going on by everybody else talking about, oh, Windows 10 is ending, yada, 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 it's a big deal. It's not a big deal. But it works well for me to be a professional voice in the community to say what actually is. So that's always nice. Yeah, apparently there's a lot of misinformation out there online. So, I don't know. I had this great comment where somebody was saying, what was it like, I love that, I'm tired of this like robotic AI stuff. And it's like, I don't do that. I don't watch anybody on YouTube. I don't do any inspiration. I film my own stuff based on my own information, So what's up, Bunky Spewer? Don't you love saying names where you're just like, should I say that name? You know? Okay. Only okay to ask. Do you have videos about how to stay on Windows 10, get new updates, and just keep logging into your local account instead of having to create a Microsoft account? Sorry to ask. Don't be sorry to ask. That's an awesome question. That's an awesome question. So, yes, it is no big deal to stay on Windows 10. Support ends in like 2 weeks or whatever, 3 weeks. It's no big deal to stay on Windows 10 even afterwards. If you don't get the extended security updates, that is not a big deal. Microsoft probably won't even release security updates for the first 30 days anyway, even if you were on the extended security updates. And there are currently 3 different ways to get the security updates, one of them being free. And I'm just going to grab that shareable link right there. So that link itself will take you to the video of me from a live stream that I've condensed down on how I got the extended security updates for free using a Microsoft account. Is there a way to actively get the updates without any account? No. As of this point, there's no way to do that. Whether or not that will change, I don't know. Because I think in the EU and then stuff like that, they're making it so that you don't need to sign up for it. Maybe you still have to sign up, but there were some different limitations. But I'm in the United States, so I only focus on what is affecting the computers here. But having a burner Microsoft account is not a big deal. If you have to have one just for whatever reason to be able to get these updates, it's fine. But all of my personal equipment is not doing that yet. I'm still on Windows 10, and I haven't done the extended security updates. I don't really care to yet. I will if I need to, but at this point, I can't see it being a big need, you know? Speaking of, I'm going to check my updates, though, to see even the last time I did update. Right? Like, so I have a cumulative update preview for Windows 10 that was for this month. I don't know when it released, but I haven't even updated yet. It's not really a big deal. As I've said, too, I ran Windows 7 for years without updates, and then years after that without support. But now all my computers are kind of independent of themselves. Oh, wait, okay, hold on. I'm getting a thing here on my prompt that says enroll in extended security updates. And it's the same thing from that video where it talks about how to get them. And so enroll. And it gives me the option to hit maybe later or next. I'm just going to hit next. It wants me to sign into my Microsoft account. And so then it would probably instigate me doing that. So yeah, so you have to have a Microsoft account in order to get those updates. They just want your data, is all that it is. They just want to have more information about you than they already need to know. And they just want to find a way to just get stuff, you know? Nothing is free. Even if you pay for it, though, I think you still have to link it to the Microsoft account, you know? Should people worry if they do nothing? Some people say they will just get some good malware or antivirus tools. I mean, honestly, the anti-malware, antivirus sort of stuff won't really protect you anyway. If it's such a significant attack, it won't really matter. But I'm not doing anything myself. I'm just sticking with it as it is. Because the security updates, if I'm not mistaken, are planned to come out like maybe once a month. They'll have just an update with security updates. That's all that it really is, just for stuff that's been found, if there is anything that's found. So Windows 7 wasn't a big deal. You could run that for 3 years, and you still could be running Windows 7 to this day. It's just certain software programs will stop working after the main end of support, which is 3 years from now-ish. So 2028 is when you really have to worry about that, because that's when your other programs will break. But there's a lot of fear-mongering going on about the problems that your system will have, and you just really don't have to worry about it. I mean, I use Windows Defender on my system. I don't pay for any antivirus or anything like that. The only one that was worthwhile to pay for would be Malwarebytes, if you wanted to pay for something, non-sponsored. But even still, there's nothing that can guarantee protect you in that way from everything. If the device is connected to the internet, you just flat out are vulnerable. But if you keep your browsing habits secure and safe, you're not doing anything that you shouldn't be doing, really, which is just a lot of, I don't know, trying to get free software, trying to get free things, trying to get cheap things, trying to download keys for games, trying to get emulators, mods, those sort of things. For most mods, if they're from a reputable site, are okay. But just trying to get whatever you want to get from random websites, that's where you're going to have a problem. But general day-to-day use, you really shouldn't have any issues. Like I said, though, if there's an extreme exploit that's found, but then it'd be known about, you know, because it would start to affect everybody right away. But I don't think that's going to be something we're going to have to worry about. And especially if we did have to worry about anything, since these security updates are already free for everybody if you just use a Microsoft account, who's to say that if there wasn't some gigantic attack that Microsoft wouldn't just say, you know what, because there's a problem, we're just going to give it to everybody no matter what. That's always a reality, too, that they might do. I'm kind of waiting for that. But I'm not against getting a Microsoft account on my system as a secondary account to do that. I wouldn't see there being any problems there. I forgot to hook something up. That's what I forgot. Because if one of the first things we're going to do today is repair a laptop. This light, oh my gosh. There we go. I just want like a nice like little light behind me. I don't want it to be like this like bright thing. I just want it to illuminate me. If we're going to be working on a laptop, I need to get a screwdriver, which I have. Boy, that whatever lighting that is on me is absolutely like brutal right there. I think that's the natural light. Golly. I should have tested the natural light settings before I moved to this camera. You know what I think I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do? Oh, wait, I don't know if I can do it. I wanted to move. I can, but it's going to make you all dizzy. I'm going to move the camera back over here because I think that's just a better layout. It's just, I don't know. Let me just adjust the curtain. That might work fine. I also need, okay, that's power cord. Interesting. We'll figure out. Okay. Ugh. How's that? Or is it that up there? Is it that light? Okay, let me do some more data experimentation. Where is the control center? And is it this light? Nope. This light. Okay, yeah, so that light right there is a big contributor. Too bright. We want a little bit of glow, but I don't want anything too much. And it's going to be competing with the computer behind me, so it is what it is. What's up, Protein Rivieri? That's what you get today. Okay, so some of the things I'll need before I do the timestamps, it is just like, it's such a, that glare, my gosh. Okay, so how do I, lighting fixtures. Whoa. Is it fully that light? Let me just turn that off and just make sure that's fully seemingly that light. But now that's too dark. You know, it's too dark. But that backlight behind me for the computer might be throwing off some of the stuff as well. Let me try that one. Is that okay? It's so harsh over there with that. Let me switch to this one. Nope, same thing. Okay. Well, let's say I'm going to be sitting here when I work on the laptop, and I'm going to move this window in front of me so that way I can see chat as need be. Huh. I think it is just the computer. That's pretty bad. Because it's bringing in more light this way than it normally is because I haven't had it that configuration, so. All right, before we get too into this, before I get to like, I'm gonna focus on that too much, I'm gonna go to the BRB screen real quick. I'm gonna swap the camera position because that will just look better and I won't have to worry about the way that it is. I'm gonna go to the BRB screen so that way you guys don't get sick because I can't unplug the camera. I have to take the tripod out, swivel the camera off, and then move it over there. So don't want y'all getting sick. There we go. Do you know how hard it is to take and swivel a camera off of a tripod while it's connected to the cable, then to move it onto the other tripod while it's connected to a cable? Physically, I think it's impossible. I don't know how I did it. All right, get rid of that one, and let's go back to this light. Make it, that's a little bit better. Why does my hair look so crazy? Now everything is on one window. Okay, now I need to move everything else. You confess, I do not. Impressive, thank you. That's what I do here. I break physics constantly. I'm gonna have to break physics again because I need to plug in a power cord. This, oh, you wanna know a deep, dirty secret of tech tips? HP laptop, boy, this is, now I need the lighting over there. Okay, hold on. Deep, dirty secret of a tech tip coming in just a second. Oh my gosh. Fun fact, this studio setup was supposed to make my life so much easier. It is not. If anything, it's made it more complicated. And then let me adjust that light there. And then we're going to get to the deep, dirty tech tip secret that most people kind of already know. Anyway, just based off of trial and error. Oh, and then let me see. I'm going to repairs. No, laptop control. That's what I'm going to be going to. Okay. That's what we'll be at in just a moment. So we'll go to that one. Perfect. Everything falls, everything breaks. Everything shrieks. So, tech tip time. HP laptop. Lenovo AC adapter. But it doesn't matter because it's USB-C. Any known good, any good USB-C adapter, not a generic phone charger, but any good USB-C charger will work on any laptop no matter what. If they don't, then the manufacturer like HP, Dell, Lenovo, whoever, they're trying to pull a sneaky one on you because the standards should all be the same. Unlike a barrel jack, even though they look the same, they can still have different standards and nuances within them that make them not work. So the goal today is, let me actually, all right, get my little word pad here so I can tell myself at about, after 38.5 minutes of pain, we're finally starting the laptop repair. And today's laptop repair is this HP that's below me. We need to change out and upgrade to a Samsung SSD, install Windows 11, preferably 23H2, which I might need to find and download, and then make sure it's all ready, up to date, and set up. And then off camera, I'll do all the things for like Adobe and Photoshop and everything like that. And then my wife will eventually want to use this laptop to maybe do some video editing for TheDonTech. She's been doing some. She has her whole full-fledged, really nice editing PC. It's also her gaming PC. But back way in the day when we were doing Uptilt Gaming, she enjoyed doing video editing on her laptop. But due to other technical limitations of that extremely underpowered laptop, she's not able to do it anymore. So this laptop, try to open it without breaking anything here. Okay, also need to turn it off. This laptop is much more powerful. And we'll go into the details of it afterwards. The battery's almost dead, so I need to shut it off real quick because I was doing other testing. So the laptop, I guess, works. This is just how do you refurbish a laptop? How do you install Windows 11 on a laptop? Which I kind of already have shown on an unsupported laptop. So, it be what it be. Okay. Because the laptop's already open. Upgrading the SSD on this thing is not that impressive. It's just really popping it open a little bit. All right, let me do some research here. This daggone light. I wish it could follow me behind me. Because we want to get Windows 11 23H2. And English. Okay, I found a website that seems legit. If we go offline, we know it was not legit for the 23H2 version. I have plenty of these ISOs otherwise. I just don't happen to have any on this current PC. So is it a laptop where it's hard to remove the battery? Nah. Just pop it open for you to see real quick. So, this is the inside of the laptop itself. This nice, pretty little HP laptop. It's got a nice i7 processor and a NVIDIA, this way, 2050 GPU. This is the battery right here, this big, long boy. And this is just held in by like 6 screws or so, and then it just pops right out. There's a connector right here. That connector, it just kind of pops, slides right out. It's not a ribbon or anything else. So super easy to remove the battery on it. And then the SSD is right here. So I'm gonna remove that, add in this. Install Windows, and then we're gonna call it a day. I'm gonna connect it via HDMI so you can kind of see that. I'm just trying to think of the best way for it. But let me see. Did I have Rufus on here? I did. I had Rufus. All right, cool. And then I need to get one of my multiple flash drives and see which flash drive actually has blank space on it. And this is a version of Windows on here already. I don't know what it is on it, but it obviously is Windows. I also will need a certain set of drivers for it because the Windows ISOs usually do not include the chipset drivers for the newer Intel chips. And this is the 12th generation Intel chip. There's a lot of good content in here that would make amazing videos. But we should just be able to go to the chipset for the NVIDIA website, get that, and then, Intel's website's always a little annoying here. So we're gonna go to HP drivers. And we should be able to get the chipset driver based on the serial number of this laptop. And I can explain that more in detail later. There's a lot of things that happen in the computer world that most people will not necessarily run into. So you don't always think like, oh, this would make good content until you're in the middle of doing it. All right, so we got Windows 11. Doesn't really matter what version. We want to get the chipset drivers for the Intel RST usually. They should have that here somewhere, right? Well, I haven't done it on this one yet, so let me download this package, and then all we do is we extract the files instead of running the files. That might not be what we're going for. But it could be. Who knows? I'm still waiting on the ISO to download, so that's okay. Well, we have 30-something seconds left, so. But is this the most recent version? That's from, I don't want the 10th and the 11th. Because what it should be is that the latest drivers from Intel for the rapid storage technology should be available. And like whatever the oldest one, the newest one is, should have all the things from the subsequent drivers there. Okay, and at least that's been my experience. So this is the 12th to 15th version, which this is the 12th version laptop here. accept, and then download. Hopefully it's not going to, because yeah, I don't want you, do not install. I want you to just extract. Nope. Nope, don't do that. Intel might have changed the way that they allow this. All right, so let me go back to the downloads here. I'm going to do a new executable here. Well, first let me save this over somewhere else. That way I can just kind of run it more easily here. And then it looks like the ISO is completed. Okay, well, while we're doing that, let me go ahead and set up Rufus then. You've already seen this possibly with my previous video here. We're going to check that, go for the ISO. Wait, did I already have the, I might have already had the ISO. Huh. Oh, well, that's fine. Okay. Wait, warning, okay, phew. Almost missed that prompt there. It's okay, almost an hour in. We're almost at the meat and potatoes of the stream. Oh, I might need 7-zip. I don't have 7-zip on here. So Intel, in their infinite wisdom, decided to make it a little bit more complicated. For the latest RST. And I don't have any of my older, or my flash drives that have that stuff in my possession, so I just need to do some research to get what I need to get. Which should be those two things. Okay, so I should have them copied now. Then once this flash drive is done being made, I copy those directories to it, and then we'd be good to go. I might have to use my phone again to show some things because I don't think the HDMI out is going to work, and I don't have that connected anyway. I might have it connected, I don't know. Okay, I think that is completed. And close. And another thing I need to figure out is how I'm gonna get. Wait, no, I have a UPS, uninterruptible power supply next to my person, so I can plug in to it. Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to mark the current SSD as, I don't know. I'm going to mark it. That way I remember that that's the SSD that I'm using for testing. So easy enough there. So this sort of repair is going to be fun, right? So what we're going to do is, see, hold it this way, and I can kind of do it this way. We're going to remove this SSD. Okay, carefully. I'm going to try to remove the SSD. Wait, hold on. Okay, first let me make sure the tip is going to be okay. Okay, nah. Oh, yep, it's a fine tip. Okay, fine tip. Removing the SSD. From the laptop. Easy. We're going to get the new SSD and put it in. I'm also assuming here that this SSD is completely blanked out. I'm not really sure. Why am I doing it this way? Because I want to show you guys how to install an SSD in the most ridiculous way possible. It's like reversing my car, my gosh. If it wasn't backwards, okay, fine. If it wasn't so backwards looking, it'd be a little bit easier to do without looking at anything. But I need to cheat just a little bit, apologies. And then we'll get the screw back on it. And then I'm just gonna, okay. It's like way off here. I don't know. I'm used to doing a lot of things one-handed, so this isn't too like new for me. Doing things in the oddest way possible. These magnetic things. Overhead, I have an overhead camera. It's just gonna take me way longer to set it up than it would be for that. Boom. And that was it. It's that easy to install an SSD. And then we got our flash drive. We're going to put that into a USB port on the left. Plug in the USB-C. Press the power button and then press F9, because F9 is what is necessary for HP to show the boot menus. Oh, okay, nice. So on here, as you can so eloquently see, I think, it's the Windows boot media flash stuff. Is the enter key on this side? No, it's on the other side. No, it's this side, isn't it? No, it's on the other side. Hold on. We'll do this. There we go, that enter. Okay, it's gonna load to the Windows 10 ISO. Easy enough. But before I continue, I'm gonna plug in, just in case, the HDMI, so that way we can kind of see that. Without breaking anything else, my gosh. The amount of tech I have in this room, by the way, and the amount of stuff I can actually do in this room is absurd. So if we go here, which means I need to adjust that just a smidge. What I'm going to do is add there we go. Add in, nope, not that one. Okay, hold on. I made a window pop up that I don't want to be here. Okay, add in the, no, not delete, no. What is this? This was a video capture device, wasn't it? Yeah, the HD60X. Okay. No signal. That's fine. We'll see it though when it pops up and it will be beautiful. Can I... Ah. Well. So I can put the Elgato behind, what was that? I can put the Elgato behind just fine. But when I try to put me behind, it wants to go... Wait, let me try that. Nope. It just wants to hide me. I thought both would be kind of a green screen-esque sort of thing. Okay, that's fine. I have no mouse controls, so I have to do everything via keyboard. I have no touchscreen controls. It's okay. This is just going to be a setup. How a professional sets up their PC after they install Windows. How's that? I'm not showing you how to install Windows. You got to use your own imagination for this one. And the drive just shows up. So I didn't even need that additional rapid storage device. Okay, well, cool. Cool. I need my water. And I get rid of all of that. You know what's funny? You think these IKEA desks are really large until you have one. And it's like, you know what? It's not that big. Okay, 55% installed. So let's see. When we have Windows 11 installed, I also need the Ethernet. So that way, it will just go straight through to the Ethernet, and I don't have to worry about Wi-Fi stuff. So even though I marked, like, what, the 38-minute mark that I was starting, Windows cannot install the required files. Why? That's usually an ISO problem or an actual drive problem. But this was a brand new drive, so I'm pretty sure it's not the actual drive. But it does say a driver is not found. Yep, okay, I know what it was. I think by plugging in the Wi-Fi, I messed up the USB cable. Possibly. But it doesn't see the drive anymore. Why doesn't it see the drive anymore? But it sees the drive as Windows being installed on the drive, but it doesn't see my USB drive. It's okay. There we go, now it sees it. But it's not seeing the SSD. Okay. Let's restart. None of this ever happened. It's okay. You know what? We're just going to go back to the talking head. There we go. Hey, I'm talking a lot. Unless the drive just went belly up, but there's no reason why the drive would have gone belly up. Okay, take number. Is it only take two? Who's keeping track? Who's counting? Nobody's counting. But to the 8 of you awesome people that are here, I greatly appreciate you. And I gotta say, my live stream VODs are actually getting a lot more attention than I thought they would get. They get viewers, they get likes after the fact, they get watch hours after the fact. It's really, really nice. I didn't expect that to really be a thing. So that's really cool to have that even after the fact. And I did find out too that if you do a live stream like this and then you privatize the video, all the watch hours that you had for that essentially go away. So it seems, according to my analytics, because my analytics also went up a lot once I started to leave these up for release right after the fact. So I don't know, YouTube is weird when it comes to like counting watch hours, and they're like, every single minute apparently is just like calculated down to every nanosecond that somebody possibly watched your video. It's a steep hill to climb to get to that 4,000 watch hours for monetization, but once it's over, theoretically. So even though the 38-minute is the laptop repair, it's really an hour 5. Okay, now we are at 86% complete on this. Oh, it should finish. And then after this live stream in about an hour, I'm gonna work out, do some video edits, because I don't have a video to release this week yet. The video I was going to release is not filmed. So I have plenty of other things filmed, plenty of other things edited, but I just need to kind of figure out where all my content is. Oh, it's kind of fun. All right. We may be at the point. Windows 10 is installed. I'm going to go here, so that way it should show you once it's all connected, once it has those video drivers. Now, I don't want to touch anything, because last time I touched it, it decided to error out on me. Okay, getting ready. We are getting there. But I am so stoked to be less than 500 hours away from monetization. That's absolutely phenomenal to me. It's unreal that it's been such a big growth. Like when I look at when I started to keep track of it on a day-to-day basis to track my averages and everything, that was was it beginning of August, I think? I started to keep track on the 16th of August, and I was at 2,008 watch hours on the 16th of August. And so I was just retroactively tracking. So the 1,000 hours before this one was about September the 5th. So I've gone up 1,000 hours from September the 5th to today. Huge. It's still getting ready, by the way. Are you excited, though? I'm excited. Because once it shows up, then the video finally begins with 50 more minutes remaining. But this is a nice laptop. I've upgraded it to 32 gigs of RAM. It's got a nice 12th gen 10-core processor in there. The RTX NVIDIA 2050 with 2 gigs of dedicated RAM. So it's quite nice, all things considered. Okay, now I have the Windows logo telling me that Windows is doing its thing, checking for updates, yada, yada, yada. Cortana might speak to us, but probably not, because if I don't have the trackpad drivers or touchpad or touchscreen, I doubt it would have the sound drivers. But it'll just go through these updates real quick, get all that stuff, and then it will automatically go into the operating system. And then once we get a basic video driver, it should hopefully sign right up and show to your that way. Such is waiting, though. This is my daily life, constantly waiting for things to finish that I have no control over. Wait, nope, okay, never mind. I saw the black HP screen here, and I saw the black Elgato. I was like, I did it. Nope. It's saying hi. It's getting things ready for me. The things I must have done nearly 10,000 times now. I've reloaded Windows so many times. It's crazy. From all the way to Windows 98 to Windows 11. Windows 10 and 11 are definitely the easier ones to reload, though, for sure, because a lot of the driver packages are installed. What would separate a traditional computer technician and a great computer technician back in the day was based on whether or not they could get all the drivers installed on the Windows XP, Vista, 7, and 8 based systems. 8 might have actually had some better driver support, but that was just like such a weird fever dream. But most of the time, the drivers for Windows 10 and 11 are included within the operating system. Unless you're dealing with like a gaming grade system, then a lot of times those come with their own downloadable installer packages. You just kind of go from there. Which that can be kind of nice. Some of them have their own like hit or miss with their own driver packages. Some are better than others, but I like it when it's just a simple, it installs the drivers, no fluff, no malware, not malware, but no fluff, no Norton, no nothing. It just the actual drivers. So you were thinking about that earlier? What, the driver stuff? Okay, it's searching for a driver. I'm going to let it kind of do its thing to get the driver, and then I can just kind of show you guys once it culminates, once it pops up. Seems like I need to do a reinstall often. And flash driver, yep. Flash drive dedicated to the needed drivers. Yep, the most common drivers that were a lot of times necessary, kept those on a flash drive. And also a lot of the generic, like it was a lot of times easier to get a lot of other drivers when you had access to the internet. And I have like 2 of them, but I can't find any right now next to me. I know I'm using one. Maybe I'm using the other one in another device. Yeah. But USB to Ethernet adapters are also amazing. So we had for XP, we had an old Ethernet to USB, but that wouldn't self-install. So you had to use a disk to install the driver to get the internet, and then you could get the rest of the drivers from the manufacturer's website. You know, I would really... Okay, I gotta do everything via keyboard right now. I don't like having to use Edge, but that's where we are. And we're gonna go to NVIDIA drivers, and you know, I do have a USB-based mouse I could just get. That'd make this a little bit easier, maybe. No, I don't. What part of space do you think means I want you to go downwards? I want you to, space means enter, not just go back downwards. So, you did a fresh install and you don't have the onboard Ethernet driver. That's why I started keeping them around. Yeah. Yeah, you do it enough, you'll definitely be like, oh, dang. Oh my goodness gracious. And NVIDIA's website is pretty... There we go. The cookies thing wants to pop up right in the middle of the screen. Almost there. We almost have a video driver. But NVIDIA's driver website has gotten pretty bad to the point where they have to like feel that they have to like anytime you want to change anything, they act like they've got 30,000 different sort of sets of drivers when you end up downloading the same exact driver package, no matter what sort of graphics card you have, as long as it's semi-current. So like I'm downloading the 50 version studio drivers for this laptop, but it's got a 20 series. It's the same exact thing. It's the same driver pack. Okay, now how do I get to the downloads here? Okay, open file. We are almost there. I'm just trying to do as little as possible so that way this is actually something. Normally, the first thing, though, that Windows would automatically do when it's connected to the internet is get a video graphics driver. So the fact that it still hasn't done that is a little crazy. Oh, wait, it just went black. So I think now it's installing something. The resolution just changed. So it's going to go black again, change back to something more current, even though I'm in the middle of downloading the most recent driver right now. Okay, so we don't want to get the... It's installing something. I try not to get the NVIDIA app. I just literally want the NVIDIA drivers, but I'm having quite the time navigating with without the mouse there. It does say that it has the drivers installed now. So then there's a few things that may be true. One of the things may be that the HDMI out is having issues. Another thing may be, oh wait, okay. There we go. Just had to unplug and plug back in. Okay, how small is that looking? How terrible is that looking? Who knows? So we're going to let the NVIDIA driver fully install here, and then we'll be kind of all set. Get rid of that. The problem with rectangles, man, I don't like rectangles. They gotta make everything so small. I almost kind of like how it normally is. I like that more. Why isn't it showing now? Why is HD60 not showing here? Let's deactivate. Let's reactivate. Okay. For some reason, there we go. Okay, got it. Now I know what it was. Whew. I like this a little bit more. That looks a bit more professional to me. Once we have that all set, then we can, once this is done, might restart. I guess, sort of, maybe, I don't know. I'm running out of time. So the first thing that I do, whenever Windows 11, 10, or whatever is installed, we immediately go to user account control, and we always turn that off. This is the old trick from the Vista days that gets rid of that pop-up right there for anything you want to do on the system. It would make Vista incredibly slow. It's not as dramatic of a difference on the newer hardware and the newer operating systems, but I still don't like anything like that popping up and saying like, hey, don't do this. So that's one of the first things that I always do right there. I've got mouse control, cool. And then what I also like to do is go to command prompt and run a command WMIC user account set password expires equals false. When you install Windows 11, I tried to show this on the other version with the 24H2 version. When you try to install Windows 11 using Rufus, it may change it where your password will expire in 30, 60, 90 days. Run this command, it gets rid of that, so it won't do that anymore. And I don't ever want it to pop up and saying, hey, your password is expired. So that command there just gets rid of that. And then next thing is just going to the themes and related settings. Just going down to the desktop icons. I always have computer, user files, and control panel available on the desktop. So that way everything is nice and ready to go. And we just do a little right click, refresh. It just kind of makes them all look the exact same there. And then that's pretty much all that there really is to it in that regard. I'll show some other things here in a second. Probably two birds, one stone sort of a thing on this sort of video. So since this is taking forever to download, we will go back to Edge. We're going to do one of my favorite tools, Ninite.com, where we're going to download some of our amazing browsers. We're going to get Chrome, Firefox. I think that's really all we get now. VLC is a fantastic media player. They used to have Adobe Reader. They don't have Adobe Reader on here anymore, but since Firefox and Edge open up your PDFs, you don't really need a dedicated PDF viewer anymore. So it's really not really that big of a deal. You can always get any of the other PDFs if you want to, but I don't need any of those. There's not really anything else. If you wanted to get Steam, you can get Steam, Dropbox, or anything like that. Nice and easy. Of a download here that gets rid of any of the fluff, any of the add-ons, any of the software programs that would come preloaded in with something else you don't want. But for delete and what she's going to be doing, it's really just Chrome, Firefox, and VLC. Nothing else here is going to be required for her. The other software will be something that I download after the fact for like Adobe products. So she can edit some of the videos and then connect it to the media server so that way she'll have access to everything as necessary. So Nana is going to install those little devices for us. I do not need you to launch that. I need to remove that from the system itself. And then there are a lot of things you can remove from the system itself. Just add, remove programs, and we're just going to kind of look through some of the things that are installed on here that we don't need. And then a little bit later, I'm going to go through and show you this program that's going to be amazing, that's going to show you exactly how to control your privacy within Windows 10 and 11. But this video will be 10, and another video I'll make will be Windows 11. Kind of the same thing, but different sort of a thing. Oh, is it Ninite? Ninite is, that changed my life, man. Ninite is absolutely amazing. I love Ninite. What you can do is, since Ninite as well actually downloads a file on your system, right? So we just go to the downloads here. It downloaded Ninite. It's right there. So when you make that file, you download all those things, you have an executable for it. So if you have to reinstall Windows again, you don't have to go to Edge. You don't have to touch nasty Edge. You just run that program. As long as you have internet, boom, downloads everything without ever having to touch Edge. Ever. Which is the way that we all want to do it. So see, in the programs here, I like to also just kind of look through, not every Windows install contains the same exact programs. It's really annoying. Sometimes they give you more, sometimes they give you less. It might be dependent on if you have Home or Pro, and it might be dependent on if you have an HP. Even though this is a Microsoft ISO, there's still some different nuances in there. It's a little annoying. So like Clipchamp, we don't need that. We're just going to remove any single software piece that is annoying and will just not be necessary. Cortana, you can't actively functionally remove. You can disable it, but I'll do that later in the privacy stuff. I think maps, you can remove maps, because who's using their computer for a map? And then we got Microsoft Bing search, that we can remove. Edge, we can't remove. OneDrive, we can't remove. A lot of times if it says like remove or uninstall, it's just uninstalling that update or the most recent version of it. And then when you do Windows updates again, it will come back and just populate back on your system. So it's kind of a pointless thing, cat and mouse chase. And we had the NVIDIA app. I did not mean to do that, but I just had to because I could not get away from it. I'm going to get rid of that. Yep. It's like, but you just installed me. Why do you want to remove me? Because. Office we don't need. Outlook for Windows we don't need. Now again, those sort of things might still kind of come back over, but since we're not linking to a Microsoft account, it might be a little bit happier for us. Solitaire collection, you can't even play those anymore. And then weather, and then it's either Xbox or Xbox Live. One of them you can remove, one of them you cannot remove. Or maybe both of them you can remove. Okay. We can remove both. Again, it doesn't mean they won't come back on. But at least for now, they're pretty removed. And all this is pretty vanilla and baseline with what you want to see within the operating system. Maybe Microsoft News. We can get rid of that. And things like, family, we can get rid of that. But again, a lot of those might just come back. So don't obsess too much over some of those really nuanced things like that. And so Ninite is already installed. We have Chrome, Firefox, and VLC Media Player installed, ready to go. Super easy. And after that, I just go to the settings, and then we run through the Windows updates. And then it just goes through all of the update deals. So what I'm going to do is go into Firefox, because this is going to be the one with the least amount of questions. And actually, hold on here. What was it? The Word document here. What time are we at now? We are at an hour We're going to be talking about the ooh shut up. So it's no, what is it? It's no mystery that Microsoft loves to steal your data. And it's pretty terrible. So I wanted to show you this program that is amazingly simple to use that can configure your system in a way where Microsoft doesn't get anything more than they absolutely need to. And that program is called O&O Shut Up or something like that. I just always search OO Shut Up. So it's O&O Shut Up 10++. It's one of those things, you know, you read stuff and you've never actually used it, you've never actually said it out loud. So I've never really done that until today. But the link can be in the description of this video, maybe in the VOD. I don't know if I'm gonna get to that point. And it's just really, really easy. It was mainly made for Windows 10, but it also works fantastically with Windows 11. Just a quick little safe executable that we can download and install on our system. And there are a lot of these settings that you can go in manually and modify and tweak yourself within the Windows 10 operating system, but there's some things you can't actively modify as easily without either running this program or going into the registry itself. So let me put it over here and just expand it so that way it's not in the way of me. Sweet. So there are a lot of different settings you can change on the system, and they'll kind of tell you whether or not it's a recommended action, you want to limit it, or no, you want to kind of leave it the way that it is. And a lot of these, as you can tell, for privacy, everything is already turned, it's on, or off, I guess more so. So the red means you have no protection in this way. So you just kind of go through all those settings. I think it was a apply only recommended, somewhat recommended, or apply all settings. So we're just going to hit apply all settings. Don't worry about the system protection stuff. Okay. So apply all settings. It makes everything pretty much green. And I'll go through some of these that are the really important ones to go through. I'm just going to undo real quick so we can kind of show that. Go through the ones that are really, really important that you want to make sure you change. Because sometimes if you do make some of these modifications, it can break some of the functionality of your system and how you use it. So it's kind of being aware of that. This is more of an advanced user thing. You wouldn't necessarily give this to your parents or something and just tell them, hey, do this, because it can get them into more trouble. But if you want to configure it for them, just be aware that some things that don't work correctly, you might need to be their tech support guy for. But a lot of these things here are pretty self-explanatory in the top here. You know, disable and reset advertising ID and info. Absolutely, you want to get rid of that. Disable transmission of typing information. Yes, they don't need that stuff. Suggestions in the timeline, you don't need it. Suggestions and start, again, you don't need it. Let's see, the tips and tricks. I mean, unless you need tips and tricks, it's not going to break anything, so turn that off. Suggested content, you don't need it. We're trying to use a clean operating system here, right? Possibility of suggesting to finish the setup of the device. I think that will be every now and again when you restart, the computer will come back and it'll say, hey, do you want to log in, sync your settings, stuff like that? It's not worth it, so just disable that. And then we come down to some here that say like limited. They're kind of like, hey, you want to be mindful of these settings in particular. So disable app notifications. That'd be like down here in the bottom right of this system particularly. It would show you notifications of maybe when an app is installed, it's completed, it's downloaded, or you have an update or an alarm or something like that. So if you disable those app notifications, it might get rid of everything, including Microsoft Defender saying that, hey, you have an infection. So that's something you'd want to maybe be careful of. That's more of a personal preference. Access to local language for browsers, that's limited because let's say that you're in a different country or something like that and they want to use the local language. That might be something you want to do, but just kind of based on your own personal preferences. Text suggestions when typing on the software keyboard. It depends. You know, if I'm typing in search, I kind of want it, but at the same time, I don't want search. So we'll just take that off. Disable sending URLs from apps to the Windows Store. They say that you want to leave that on because if you're browsing somewhere and you're saying, hey, I want to get this software, and you click the link in a browser, and it's going to redirect you to the Microsoft Store where that software is available to download. This would prevent that from happening. So you can disable it, but if you're trying to download something, let's say you have some printer that requires software that was from the Microsoft Store specifically, you wouldn't be able to get it. So that's one you'd want to be careful of. Disable storage of clipboard history. I think there was some stuff with the clipboard history would go to Microsoft, which you wouldn't want them to have, obviously, but having clipboard history can be beneficial. The fact that this is set as a yes for recommended tells me that it's probably something that Microsoft keeps track of that history. So Probably want to be careful there. And I don't think I can necessarily read every single one of these, but we'll go through some of the more nuanced ones that are extremely important to know about. So app access to user account information, yeah. Because they don't need to know who you are or what you are. There's no reason why an app needs to know your username, your Microsoft account. There's no reason. Tracking of app starts, yeah. Diagnostic, yes. And then a lot of this privacy here that's all limited is specifically because what each one has to deal with. So if you click disable app access to device location, that's fine, but nothing will be able to know where you're at on the device. It doesn't control the browsers, but it controls the actual device. And disable app access to camera, same situation. You turn that on, that would mean that if you want to go ahead and go into camera, that might not work anymore. Or will it? We can't find your camera, right? Or is it because my camera is currently, no. So let's turn that back on and do camera. We can't find your camera. Okay, let camera access your camera. Yes. Okay, see? There we go. But if we go back, close it, and then if we press disable apps to access camera, we go back to camera, we need your permission, see? So that's where some of these settings can actually be dangerous because it would apply to universally everything on the system. So if you're trying to do streaming from your computer and you want to connect it that way, it might disable it. So that's stuff you want to be careful of. And that applies to everything else in this section of privacy down here. Or app privacy more so. So that's where you kind of want to take the time to look at all of those to make sure, but nothing's going to be using the microphone, you know, all of these things for this laptop's purpose. I don't need any of these. So I can just turn them all off. And if you need some more information, if you click on it, it will tell you exactly what it does mean in more detail than probably what I'm giving you. We're just going to blast through all of these though. Let's say app access to unpaired devices. That might prevent you from connecting to Bluetooth on another device if you wanted to. So that's very important to leave on. And for this one specifically, I'll leave it on for delete. Access to images. I don't think that's going to mean exactly what you think it's going to mean for the images. We'll turn that off and we'll find out. She'll let me know. And that should also be fine. So what do they mean by wireless technology? Okay, so that might be the same vein of the way that other things connect. Like eye tracking, you don't really want that. But again, some devices have that where they'll know where you're looking at and they'll know to keep the screen brightness and everything. Our phones have that. Like the phone has essentially some sort of tracking feature to tell when you're looking at it so it knows when to have the brightness there. It's kind of terrifying to think about, but that's the day and age that we live in. But my computer is not my phone. All right, disable the ability for apps to take screenshots. That depends. If they're talking about literally apps, right? Let's do, we have that on, and let's do, where's the print screen button on this keyboard? It's function key shift. Okay, it worked though. So that might be specifically apps, not so much the print screen function. So that's fine. But yeah, we don't need apps taking photos of anything. Oh, desktop apps. Crazy. And then Edge, pretty much everything for Edge. If you're not going to be using Edge, it doesn't really matter. But if you want additional protection, disable everything for Edge. And then same with the legacy version. I'm not just going to go through any of that because it's been too much there. But synchronization. This only applies if you're using a Microsoft account, which you shouldn't be using in the first place. But even if you were, I would heavily recommend that every single setting for your Microsoft synchronization is turned off. And that's mainly because if you have a problem, it syncs and then it goes everywhere and it's a problem everywhere. So disable Cortana and disable input personalization. Absolutely. I don't know why that device, you don't see it, but I see it, that the device popped up there in the bottom. Disable Windows Copilot. Yes, we don't want Copilot. We don't want Copilot. See, so when you won't see it, but it gets rid of the button down over here. So it's an immediate change. And disable Windows Copilot and recall. Yes. Here's the thing. Disable the use of diagnostic data for tailor-made experience. Absolutely. Why would I want that? And then occasionally showing app suggestions in the start menu. Don't need that. I know what to use on my computer. I don't need suggestions on like, hey, use LinkedIn. See, that's LinkedIn right there. I'll get to that in a second, though, of removing other things from the system. Yeah, then get rid of that. Search. Disable search with an AI search. Yes. Disable extension of Windows search with Bing. I would recommend it. Because when you're searching for something, you don't want Bing to be showing up. You want to search VLC. I want to see VLC Media Player. I don't want to see VLC Media Player from the web. So this helps the search bar be just a little bit better. And then almost at the end here, so we'll see some of these changes happen maybe at the bottom of the screen. Can't really tell. But we want to get rid of people, the search box is fine. Meet now, we don't need that. And the widgets, we don't need widgets. I have clicked it thrice now. Okay, click, click. It doesn't want to disable that. Maybe with a restart it'll be okay. Get rid of feedback. The Windows Store apps, yep, you want to get rid of that. Tips, tricks, you don't need those sort of things. You don't need Windows Media Player Diagnostics. And the Windows Spotlight, you don't need that either. That's like when you're on like the lock screen and it'll show like a, like a spotlight sort of thing. It'll show additional information. We don't need that sort of stuff, And that's all just for the current user. And then the whole local machine, it's kind of the same sort of questions, but there's a little bit more on the system side here as well. So you want to make sure you go through both of these to make sure. But what I really like doing on that is just kind of like the recommended settings, because then it just makes all the changes for you automatically. And then you can go through and double check to make sure that what you have on is on, what you want to have off is off. And then that way, they do some of the limited things here. I would turn all of those off. And then Edge, I would turn everything off with Edge. I would turn everything off with location services. And then the Windows Update. So Windows Update via peer-to-peer, yeah, that's not really a big deal if you're just connected to your own network. Yeah, you don't want to disable automatic Windows Updates, though you could, in theory. That's not too bad. And then when you're done with all the settings and all the changes, both the current user and the local machine, when you exit, it'll say, many thanks, yada, yada. Settings may revert to their previous status following Windows updates. That's mainly going to be the major features updates when you go from one like 24H2 to 25H2 or something like that. So you want to run this regularly. I'm actually not going to close it just yet. Another little tech tip here. If you do File, Export Settings, and you just do the shutup configuration file, save it to just say, your desktop or something, you'll have the configuration file right here. And then if you want to verify, you still have this program on here, you would do File, Import Settings, import those configuration settings, and it'll change all of the settings to exactly how it is in the point in time. That's really, really important to make sure that if there are some settings that do get modified and you don't remember, oh shoot, was this on or off, you re-import those settings and it will go back to what you actually want it to be. But then we exit and it'll say many thanks. And then when you shut down, it'll say some settings were not changed. You need to restart your PC. Do that, and then that would give you all the changes. So that's it for the shut up. I can do like its own separate outro. And that was about to one. Excuse me. Needs its own outro for that one, but that's not a big deal. Just trying to stay organized there. So while the system is doing these updates, another thing that you can check and see are a lot of these things that are installed on the system and all apps, essentially. You can kind of go through and see things you don't necessarily need or want on the system, and then we can get rid of those. The one that I mainly saw was LinkedIn, which is not showing right here. So it's not an app necessarily, but you right-click on that, uninstall. Normally there's some others. So what was it? It was the was it really remove the feature? Was it really here? Because obviously LinkedIn was not here previously. Now I'm kind of blanking where those other options were at. Start Experiences app, we don't need that. All right, okay, system components. This might have been where LinkedIn would show up, but since it's already gone, I won't be able to tell. Sometimes you'll get other things like Candy Crush or something like that showing up. You don't need them. It's that simple. But then we just do the restarts for the Windows updates itself, and then pretty much the system is ready to be used. But these updates may take easily 5 minutes or so. And then there will be more updates, and then you got to restart, then there'll be more updates, and you got to restart. And then I want to stay on Windows 10 or Windows 11 23H2 on the system. So I'm actually going to show you another software, which I need to find real quick, and then I will show you another software that allows you to have more control. A lot of these things can be done with registry edits though, but it's a lot nicer to have like an actual graphical interface to be able to toggle things yes and no instead of having to go into the actual registry. But I tweeted about the software. I've done 657 tweets. Isn't that crazy? It's somewhere here. No signal is normal. It's okay. I tweet so much more than I thought that I tweeted. My golly. I think this tweet was before the Switch 2 even came out. Okay, there we go. Found it from May 5th. Goodness gracious. Well, we are running down to the last, 13? 12 and a half, 13 minutes to stream, which should be just perfect in time to finish this and have more videos to go through. I have to edit so much, which is why I'm giving my beautiful wife a refurbished laptop so that she can help me get some of the stuff done. You know, we can do some psychology on her though, right? If every video she does, if y'all just like it and say it's the best video you've ever seen, which it would be, she'll be more inclined to do more, and then more stuff will release. That'd be easy. It is also so daggone hot in this room. I can't wait for it to be cooler out. We're almost there, y'all. All right, we are almost there. But I'm looking forward to Thursday. I should have a live stream on Thursday as well. We'll see what the monetization goes from there. But right now, it's looking like monetization should be on or around October the 10th. All right, so now that we're back in the operating system, we're just going to go back and just double check all the updates here. I can turn that brightness down so it doesn't wash me out so much. And then also something important to check. After you're doing a reinstall of Windows, you go to Device Manager to see if there's any drivers that are missing. A lot of times Windows Update will capture all of the devices, but if you're missing something like sound or touch or Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or something like that, it will show up in your Device Manager as a missing deal. And if you have a dedicated graphics driver, sometimes, not disk drive, sometimes what will happen is in the display adapters, it will show like just the main adapter that's built into the CPU, and then it might also show the additional graphics card as well, like this one is a 2050. But if you go down here to the driver side, you see that the date is from the 5th. Sometimes Windows will load in a driver that is actually 2 or 3 years older. So you want to make sure that your video driver is up to date, especially if you've got a gaming-based graphics driver. And then within here, the Windows Update, sometimes you go to the advanced options and we go down to the optional updates. There might also be device driver updates here as well. Looks like we have a firmware driver waiting. And so that would be where some of the other updates would be if they don't automatically come onto the system itself. But it did fail in some of those other extensions and the cumulative update. So we'll go ahead and get those and make that nice and simple there. But besides that, this system is pretty much ready to go and ready for use. We got the software on it through Ninite. We got the latest video update drivers for it. And it's pretty much as clean and nice as the system can be. You're able to modify it, optimize it any way you want to, change the background, change the wallpaper, and all that stuff. But really, there's not much else to it once you have the system set in this way. So that's all there is for the actual how to set up a system. But if you want to also keep Windows in your own control, because as control, I'm all about control. We want to make sure that we are going to go to, was it, I forgot the website's name. We're going to look up GRC in, we're going to go to GRC in control, right? That's going to take us to this website. And you can download an application here that will actually control your system so you don't get unnecessary updates that you don't want. I like to use this specifically for the Windows 11 updates because 24H2 completely breaks all the networking in my house. So Why would I want to use that one? You wouldn't. So it's a quick, easy download from that link that I'll also try to put in the video on demand or in the actual video itself about the Windows 11 stuff. And it's just a quick, simple little thing where you just hit take control. That's it. You're in control. Simple. Now the system will not automatically want to update to 24H2. Easy, easy, easy. But we'll just have it do those other updates. We'll probably get the additional firmware update. Not delivery optimization. Firmware updates are fine. They're not always necessary, but they've been releasing them a lot more quickly than they used to be. It used to be that BIOS and firmware updates were very, 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 very rare. But now it's like every week they just kind of release them. But that's the entirety of my stream for today. I'm going to go on that end screen and then get myself out of my tangled wire mess here without hopefully breaking anything else. But nice to see you guys. Anybody that comes into the past, the present, and the future. Always been fun to hang out with you guys and go through what is going on in the life of TheDonTech. Any rewatch of this content helps the stream and helps the channel way more than you know. We are on that goal to get those 4,000 watch hours, and we are almost there. I got to find the end screen here so I can end. But, yeah. So, that's all I got. That's it. This has been The Don with TheDonTech. And remember, the Don's got your back. See you guys on Thursday, most likely.